For decades, the playbook was simple. A good leader should be a bit of a mystery, right? Tucked away behind those big, heavy office doors. But what if I told you that that silence, the very thing that used to signal power, is now your single biggest liability? We're going to dive into why the invisible founder is quickly becoming a thing of the past. And this quote, it just nails it. It perfectly captures the massive shift we're all living through. That old way of communicating, the super polished press release that comes out 3 days late, it's not just old-fashioned, it's actually hurting your business.
So this is really the core question we're tackling today. And if you're a leader, this is aimed squarely at you. We're going to look at the hard data, the actual numbers, and the psychology that proves staying in the shadows is costing you talent, trust, and your bottom line.
Okay, so let's dig in. Why has being silent suddenly become so expensive? Well, the answer really lies in a specific kind of corporate culture that's frankly way past its expiration date. The source material calls this the Sir culture, and you can probably picture it, right? The leader is this distant, almost mythical figure. Their authority comes from being hard to reach, inaccessible, and for a long time that was supposed to command respect, but in today's world, it just breeds suspicion. Just look at this slide. The shift is night and day. Back in 1990, being silent was a strategic move, a way to show power. Now, it's a vacuum. And believe me, your critics will be more than happy to fill it for you. Mystery used to create respect, but now transparency is how you build trust. And here's the real kicker. People don't trust logos anymore. They trust the people behind the logos.
And look, this isn't just some vague philosophical change. There are tangible, measurable costs to staying invisible. And honestly, the numbers are pretty staggering.
68%. Let that number sink in. According to the Edelman Trust Barometer, that is the percentage of Gen Z professionals who flat out refuse to work for what they call faceless corporations. We're in a war for talent, and if the best and brightest can't see who you are, they're not even going to bother applying.
It's not just about hiring, either. It's about your customers. Since 2023, we've seen a 45% jump in consumer trust for founder-led brands. People are actively choosing to spend their money with companies where they feel a real connection to the leader and their vision.
And this is what happens when things go wrong. Companies with visible, active CEOs see their stock value recover 30% faster after a PR crisis. That is a massive, quantifiable advantage. It's a type of resilience you can literally take to the bank. So what's the psychology behind all this? Well, it's a fascinating cognitive bias. We, as humans, are just wired to forgive mistakes made by people we feel like we know. But when a faceless, cold system messes up, we want to punish it. By staying invisible, you are choosing to be seen as a system. Okay, so we've established the problem pretty clearly. Silence is a liability. So, what's the alternative? Let's take a look at what the new trusted leader is actually doing. And spoiler alert, it means a complete overhaul of the old communication playbook. This table just breaks it down perfectly. The old guard was formal, distant, talking maybe once a quarter through a press release to announce some award. The 2026 trusted leader? They're conversational, direct, even a little imperfect. They're on LinkedIn, they're using short-form video, they're communicating weekly, maybe even daily. And they're not just sharing wins, they're sharing insights, failures, and lessons. The entire architecture of trust has been rebuilt from the ground up. This is the new way to think about it. A CEO's personal brand isn't about vanity or ego. It's about finance. A strong personal brand lowers your customer acquisition costs, it lowers your recruitment costs, and as we just saw, it acts as a pretty powerful insurance policy during a crisis. It's a real, strategic asset.
So this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually go from being a shadow to being a signal? Well, here's a clear, practical framework to make this transition feel a lot more manageable.
So here it is, the 5-step plan. And it flows really logically, right? You start with an audit, a look in the mirror. Then you select your core pillar. You humanize your communications, you engage directly, and finally, you focus on consistency. The goal here isn't to go viral overnight. The goal is to become a reliable, trusted voice in your space. Let's zoom in on step 2 for a second. Select your pillar. This is absolutely crucial. You can't be everything to everyone. So who are you? Are you the visionary, always talking about the future? The operator, obsessed with how things get built with excellence? Or the mentor, focused on people and culture? You have to pick a lane. And please, avoid the big mistake. Don't suddenly become a political commentator. Stick to what you know. And this quote right here, this is the entire philosophy of step 3, humanize the comms. That polished, perfect corporate speak, it's dead. It actually makes people suspicious. Using I instead of we, sharing a lesson from a mistake you made, talking about a book you're reading, that's what builds a real connection. The goal is authenticity, not perfection.
All right, let's address the elephant in the room. I know being more visible feels risky. That fear of scrutiny, it's very real. But here's the powerful counterargument. In today's world, being invisible is actually the bigger risk. And look, we have to acknowledge the tall poppy syndrome, that tendency some people have to cut down those who stand out. It's a genuine concern. Being visible can attract negative attention from regulators, from rivals, whatever. This fear is what keeps so many leaders silent.
But here's the ultimate defense. It's something called a reputation dome. By consistently showing up, adding value, and being transparent, you build this protective layer of public goodwill around you. So when a crisis inevitably hits, this dome gives you the benefit of the doubt. In a world of total transparency, it is your only real security. Obscurity offers zero protection.
So let's just recap the key takeaways here. First, silence is way more expensive than visibility. Second, the next generation of talent and customers, they demand leaders, not logos. Third, you have to start treating reputation as a strategic asset on your balance sheet. Fourth, trust is built on authenticity, not some impossible standard of perfection. And finally, your best defense isn't hiding. It's building a strong reputation. That's your shield.
So I'll leave you with this one last question to think about. In an age of total transparency, a story is being written about you and your leadership, whether you participate in it or not. The only question left is, who is writing it? You? Or is it being written for you in your absence? The choice, really, is yours.